It was Christmas Eve, and the hospital was eerily quiet. I was Sarah, a nurse on the night shift, and the silence felt heavier than usual. The halls, usually bustling with activity, were empty. Most patients were asleep, dreaming of sugar plums and family gatherings. But for me, it was just another shift, far from my own family, surrounded by the sterile white walls and the steady beeping of monitors. Loneliness began to creep in. A cold companion on this holy night, I walked past the rooms, peering in at the sleeping faces, a bittersweet feeling washing over me. Christmas is supposed to be about togetherness, about warmth and light. Here, in the quiet hum of the hospital, it felt like a world away. I took a deep breath, straightened my scrubs, and reminded myself why I was here, to care for those who needed it most, especially on a night like this. As I continued my rounds, a faint light from one of the rooms caught my eye. It was Mr. Henderson's room. He was an elderly patient, and his health had been declining rapidly. I knew, with a heavy heart, that this would likely be his last Christmas. What made it even more poignant was that he had no family coming to visit. He was completely alone. I stepped into the room, and the sight broke my heart. He lay there, frail and weak, his breath shallow. The loneliness I had been feeling paled in comparison to what he must be experiencing. The festive cheer that was supposed to fill the air felt like a cruel joke in this small, quiet room. Sadness washed over me. It felt so unfair. On a night meant for joy and family, he was facing his final moments with no one to hold his hand. Then a thought struck me. I remembered the story of Christmas, of Jesus being born in a humble manger, vulnerable and small. He came into the world not in a palace, but in the most lowly of places. He understood what it was to be alone and vulnerable. That thought sparked something within me. I couldn't let Mr. Henderson leave this world feeling abandoned. I pulled a chair up to his bedside. My heart was heavy, but I knew what I needed to do. I quietly began to pray. Lord, I whispered, you know what it's like to be alone. Please be with us now. Be with Mr. Henderson. Fill this room with your peace. A sense of calm began to settle over me as I prayed. I reached out and gently took his hand. It was frail and cool to the touch. I started to hum a Christmas carol, Silent Night. My voice was soft, barely a whisper, but I poured all the comfort I could muster into the melody. As I sang, I spoke to him about Jesus, about the love that came down at Christmas, a love that promises we are never truly alone. I told him about the hope of heaven, a place with no more pain or sorrow. I just wanted him to know he was loved, not just by me, a stranger in blue scrubs, but by a God who knew his name. I wasn't sure if he could hear me, but as I finished the verse, something incredible happened. A faint, peaceful smile spread across Mr. Henderson's face. His eyes, which had been dull and distant, seemed to clear for a moment, and he gave my hand a gentle squeeze. In that quiet, sacred moment, I felt a profound sense of peace fill the room, a warmth that chased away all the cold and loneliness. It was a holy peace, one that I knew didn't come from me. I believe, in his final moments, Mr. Henderson accepted the comfort and love of Christ. He wasn't afraid anymore. A few minutes later, with that serene smile still on his lips, he passed away gently. It wasn't a moment of sadness or struggle, but one of quiet release, like he was simply going home. The beeping of the monitor flatlined, but the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was filled with a peace that surpassed all understanding. I sat there for a while, holding his hand, completely in awe of what I had just witnessed. God had met us there, in that humble hospital room, and turned a moment of profound loneliness into one of sacred beauty. About an hour later, the door creaked open. A man and a woman rushed in, their faces etched with worry. It was Mr. Henderson's son and daughter-in-law. They had been stuck in holiday traffic, delayed by a snowstorm, and were devastated to have arrived too late. Tears streamed down their faces as they looked at their father. My heart went out to them. I stood up and walked over, placing a comforting hand on the son's shoulder. I told them what had happened. I shared how their father hadn't been alone, how he had passed with a peaceful smile on his face. I described the serene atmosphere in the room, the feeling of God's presence that had been so tangible. I told them he wasn't in pain, and he wasn't afraid. As I spoke, I saw a flicker of relief in their eyes, a small measure of comfort amidst their grief. They cried, but this time, their tears seemed to hold a little less despair and a little more peace. They were grateful, so incredibly grateful that their father wasn't alone in the end. They thanked me, their words thick with emotion, and I knew I had been exactly where I was supposed to be that night. This experience changed my view of Christmas forever. It's not just about festive lights and family dinners. It's about Emmanuel, which means God with us. He is with us in our loneliest moments, in the sterile quiet of a hospital room, on a night shift far from home. He is there to bring peace to the dying and comfort to the grieving. That night, I witnessed the true miracle of Christmas. It wasn't a grand spectacle, but a quiet, profound act of love and peace that transformed a moment of death into a beautiful homecoming. It's a reminder that even in our darkest nights, the light of His love can shine through, bringing hope and a peace that this world cannot give. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking and subscribing for more content that seeks to find faith in everyday life. God bless you.